ராகவனே தாலேலோ ஏவரிவன் சீலை வலவா ராகவனே தாலேலோ ராகவனே தாலேலோ 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 rāmā tālelo tālelo tālelo.
The little ones, Atmika, Tain, Kushi and Debu will honor their grandmother. Come here. You have to get a kiss and go. Next, Kushi. And now Debu. And we request Debu to sing Mannu-pugazh along with VasanthiMā. Thank you very much, Devu. And thank you very much, VasanthiMā. कौन कहता है भगवान सोते नहीं, माँ यशोदा के जैसे सुलाते नहीं। कौन कहता है भगवान सोते नहीं, माँ यशोदा के जैसे सुलाते नहीं। कौन कहता है भगवान सोते नहीं, माँ कौसल्या के जैसे सुलाते नहीं। अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम राम नारायणम जानकी वल्लभम। अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम राम नारायणम जानकी वल्लभम। Who says Godhead doesn't sleep? Well, we don't put her or him or it to bed the way Mother Yashoda did, the way Mother Kausalya did. So, it's lullaby time with who else but our mother VasanthiMā, with a lullaby which is fresh and evergreen, though it's more than 1,200 years old, more than a millennia old, evergreen, fresh lullaby. Few are aware of the fact that Anup Jalota ji's extremely popular bhajan that I just extracted and surely messed up singing is actually an adaptation of Sri Adi Shankaracharya's Achyutashtakam, 8 beautiful stanzas composed by him, Adi Shankara, from especially extracted names and attributes of our own everythingness, which encompasses all of the not only 1,008 names of Vishnu Sahasranama, but the infinite names and attributes potentially possible. Namaskaram VasanthiMā Swami Devame. Our own outstanding Gotra Karaka amongst the Sapta Rishis, namely the Raja Rishi, Brahma Rishi, Shri Kumudavati Tayar's husband, Pati, Menaka's Pati, Vishwamitra Maharishi, Shakuntala's father, and Dushyant's father-in-law, and of course, Bharat's grandfather. He sang Kausalya Supraja Rāmā Purva Sandhya Pravartate Uttishta Narashardhula Kartavyam Deivamhanikam Uttishta Uttishta Govinda Uttishta Garuda Dhvaja Uttishta Kamala Kanta Trailokyam Mangalam Kuru Mata Samasta Jagata Madhukaita Bhare Vaksho Viharini Manohara Divya Murte Shri Swamini Shrita Janapriya Dana Shile Shri Venkatesha Daite Tava Suprabhātam. Again, like my previous bhajan, inspired by Adi Shankara, getting attributed to Anup Jalota, this Venkateshwara Suprabhātam's opening 3 stanzas that I just invoked often gets attributed to Bharat Ratna, Madurai Shanmukha Vadivu, or in short, MS, Subbulakshmi, yes, you got it right. While this and many other Suprabhātams, which is Suprabhātams, to various other deities which followed literally as the good morning songs. Su means good, Prabhat means morning. So it's a Suprabhātam, it's a good morning song, literally. All of these Suprabhātams are quite popular as early morning invocations to awaken various aspects of the divinity within us, symbolized externally. But ours is perhaps the unique culture in which we also have lullabies. You see the cradle here in front of me with even a cord to pull him around, and the little baby inside representing Krishna, Rāmā, or whoever you want to invoke into that deity through your own prana pratishta. So, ours is perhaps the unique culture in which we also have lullabies to put back our own divinity to slumber. We woke them up with a suprabhātam in the dawn. So just past dusk, we put them back to slumber as well. But who are we really putting back to slumber? Our own divinity, yes. That is the Advaitic viewpoint, the ultimate. Why on earth would we want to do that? To put back our own divinity to slumber? It's all about awakening, right? That's what spirituality is, or so we thought. Wouldn't an eternally awakened divinity be better? Well, that's part of our own beautifully playful Leela, in which we relish role-playing, simultaneously entertaining and educative. Many parents think that what is entertainment for their kids is not educative, and what is educative the kids think is not entertaining. But if rightly done, most things can be simultaneously entertaining and educative. And what is that rightly done? Doing it consciously instead of doing it accidentally without awareness, right? So in this beautiful Leela of putting our gods to slumber by singing them lullabies, we are actually relishing role-playing, simultaneously entertaining and educating ourselves through these games with various aspects of ourselves, which is what these deities are. They are not sitting somewhere separately, which is also true because they are omnipresent, they are sitting everywhere. But most crucially and importantly, they are us and we are them. It's our own aspects of divinity that we are personalizing through these so-called idols, but in reality vigrahas or special grahas or the special consumers of ourselves, of our rashis, of our treasures. So this purpose of the lullaby in particular is in recognition of the fact that the Jagruta Avastha, Swapna Avastha, and the Sushupti Avastha, or the waking, dream, and deep sleep states respectively, are all integral parts of life. As is the Turiya Avastha, or the all-encompassing, beyond, or meta state. Yes, that too, which brings in fact the first three of Jagrupta, Swapna, Sushupti to completion. Because 3 quarters don't make a whole. You need the 4th quarter to complete it, and that's the Turiya, which actually pervades through the first 3 as well as consciousness, awareness, prajna. As inimitably enunciated in my all-time favorite Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita discourse to our confused Rajasic derivative, Arjuna. Yes, you might think of Arjuna as a historical character, but in addition, he is the son of Indra, the god of the Devas, and therefore, who is Arjuna? He is a symbolism of our own Rajasic gunas derivative, because the Devas are the Rajasic gunas, the Ashuras are the Tamasic gunas, and of our own qualities, there is a derivative. Indra's son, the king of the Devas' son, is Arjuna. So in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita discourse to our confused Rajasic derivative, Arjuna, our own principle of attractiveness, or Krishna, on the Kalinga here, but on the chariot there. So our own principle of attractiveness is what we are symbolizing as Krishna, apart from the historical character which lived 5,000 plus years ago. So, in that discourse, our own principle of attractiveness, himself or rather itself, indicates to us that the Atma can neither be cut by any solid weapon, burnt by any energetic fire, wetted by any watery liquid, nor dried by any gaseous airy wind, essentially remaining unscathed by the panchabhutas of solid, liquid, gas, energy and space as well, though not mentioned explicitly here, which are all by their very nature restricted to the physical realm of our body and have absolutely no impact on the metaphysical or beyond physical realm of our real nature or identity as the Atma. Specifically, Krishna tells Arjuna, Nainam chindanti shastrani, Nainam dahati pavakaha, Nachainam kledayan tyapo, apo being water, Nasheshayati marutaha, and that's why the name Maruti for Hanuman, the son of the wind god. So whether it is Apa or Maruti or Pavakaha or Shastra, none of them can do anything to the real me, which is the Atma. This is Krishna saying, but it's equivalent to our own Atma saying that. This is chapter 2, shloka 23 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we, the Atma, shouldn't be misled by the apparent indolence of our everythingness, alias Vishnu. Even if its personified form predominantly appears to be half asleep on its comfy unity, infinity, zero. You got it right. Adi Ananta Shesha, mystic serpent mattress. It isn't anything akin to our body's conventional sleep or nidra, but the unifying stillness of our entire BMI toolkit, body, mind, intellect toolkit, yes, into Yoga Nidra, the unifying stillness of our entire body, mind and intellect toolkit into Yoga Nidra. Stiram Sukham iti asanam. So only that which is stable and comfortable is an asana. And anything that is stable and comfortable is indeed an asana in Hatha Yoga. So here, unifying stillness of our entire body, mind, intellect toolkit into Yoga Nidra, which also happens to be another literal connotation of the word Rāmā. Yes, that's what I was getting into. Rāmā has many, many connotations. One of them is stillness. The other is that which makes us happy through its pleasantness. Rāmā is traditionally expounded as the one who enthralls or attracts like Krishna. Ramayati iti Rāmaha. In fact, another pioneering one amongst the dozen Alvars, Sri Nammalvar, about whom I had penned, or rather keyed in, a katham.in spiritual blog commemorating his birthday last year, portrays the apparent sleep. Yes, Nammalvar portrays the apparent sleep of our own everythingness beautifully in the stanza Uranguvan poi yog punarnda Oli Mani Vannan Kannan. Toolkits are in the news for all the wrong reasons today. Sorry, Disha. But the most sophisticated and useful toolkit consists of our body, mind, and intellect, which I often refer to as the BMI toolkit. So the essence of the Pasuram of Sri Nammalvar that I just recited is that even if the eyes of our own everythingness appear or seem to be closed, it's our BMI toolkit's welfare and upliftment that are constantly in its samkalpa or causal intent. Thus, even if it appears to comply with VasanthiMā's upcoming lullaby, which is a decade extracted from Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl's Perumāl Tirumozhi, beginning with mannupugazh kosalai manivayir vaittavane, entreaties us to sleep. We, the Atma, are actually always awake, tactically and strategically, devising innovative MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Devising innovative MRO schedules, encompassing better, faster, and more affordable techniques to recover our corrupted BMI's peak performance. Yes, our body, mind, and intellect, thanks to our lifestyles, have gone for a toss. So they are not at our peak performance. So they are corrupted, and we need to recover back not only the body, mind, and intellect's performance, but also their stability and maneuverability. Thus, emancipating and reconstructing our original holistic structure in the service of I, the Atma's yatra through this particular edition of life. Coming back to our discussion on the role of lullabies, the fact is that to awaken is impossible without being asleep. Think of that. To awaken is impossible without being asleep in the first place, right? Just as to be reborn, one ought to be dead. Yes, one ought to die to be reborn. To be able to relish the freshness of your suprabhātams or suprabhātams, the good morning songs, you ought to relish your lullabies too, தாலாட்டு பாடல்கள், as we call them in Tamil, and the deep sleep too, which is in between the lullaby and the suprabhātam. So it's part of the cyclic process. So VasanthiMā is all set to rock the baby, inherently present in all of us, by presenting to all of us what all three of her grandkids, Devi, Kushi, and Tain, and some of her grand nephews and nieces as well, like Atmika, it's Danya, Sejal, etc., had the unenviably luxurious privilege of going to sleep with, especially the three grandkids, Devi, Kushi, and Tain, almost every day throughout their infancy and childhood, had the unenviably luxurious privilege of going to sleep with this very lullaby that VasanthiMā is going to sing for us today. Mannupugazh kosalai. It's an immortal Tamil lullaby to Kausalya's son, the one who took shape in her pearl-like womb, Lord Rāmā, as part of the scripture considered by Southern Universalists or Tengalai Vaishnavas to be the Tamil version of the Vedas, the ultimate wisdom scriptures. Though their content is mostly about the post-Vedic, Puranic and Itihasic concept of Dashavatars. Yes, VasanthiMā's song, or rather lullaby today, Mannu-pugazh, constitutes stanzas number 719 to 729. Yes, the 11th one is the Falashruti, telling what you would get by reciting the decade, the 10 stanzas from 719 to 728. So that is the 729th one is the Falashruti. And 719 to 719 stanzas of what? Of the Nalayira Divya Prabandhams. Yes, Nal, 4. Ayiram, 1000. Divya, divine or divinely. Pra, special. Bandham, relationship. So Nalayira Divya Prabandham is literally and very importantly, significantly, the Nalayira Divya Prabandham is nothing but 4,000 divinely special relationships with ourselves. That's true divinity. More specifically, Mannu-pugazh is part of the perumāl Tirumozhi, the whole of which was composed by a prince of the Chera dynasty of what's today the state of Kerala, which at the time of his ruling was dominating over even the Pandyas and the Cholas, so much so that they were envious and came to a war with him, lost, and the Pandya king gave his daughter in marriage to Kulaśékara Alvar himself. Yes, that's the prince who we are talking of the Chera dynasty, Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl, alias Mudaliyandan Nambi. Mudaliyandan Nambi. There is a certain uniqueness about every one of the Alvars. So Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl is the only one amongst the dozen Alvars who has written in Sanskrit too, whereas the other Alvars all wrote only in Tamil. Kulaśékara Alvar has written in Sanskrit too, apart from Tamil. So much unlike the intentional spread of Christianity by the 12 famous disciples of Jesus Christ, including the betrayer Judas, a few centuries prior to the Alvars, maybe 7 to 8, these dozen nomadic minstrels or Alvars in total involvement with our own everythingness unintentionally created collateral storms of devotion, devoid of any entanglement. Yes, involvement without entanglement, without any phobia or without any appeasement. That's the stark contrast. Thus, lasting to eternity as the all-inclusive way of responsible life, Sanatana Dharma, rather than the unfortunately degraded, exclusive Western and Mid-Eastern pathways of my way or the highway. Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl, alias Mudaliyandan Nambi, is also another uniqueness aspect, the only one amongst the dozen Alvars who has focused more on Rāmā rather than Krishna, who has been the primary focus of all the other Alvars. Not that they didn't write on Rāmā, all of them, or probably many of them, did. But Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl, like Tyagaraja to some extent, whom we covered in exactly a week back, last week's performance of VasanthiMā, is more devoted to Rāmā. But in this baby form, they all look alike, whether it is Rāmā or Krishna. The renowned devotional savants of the southern Vaishnava Bhakti movement are those who are being referred to by me as Alvars, the people who ruled. Not that they were all kings, but they ruled over the hearts of not only the other devotees, but of divinity itself. Because where else does it live other than in the hearts of all, including themselves? The renowned devotional savants of southern Vaishnava Bhakti movement. That's no surprise, perhaps, as Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl was born in the same Punarvasu nakshatra as his Ishtadevata Rāmā, and later Ramana too, our own Ramana Maharishi of the Advaitic Vedanta school. Only difference is that Rāmā was born in Chitrai month, or mid-April to mid-May these days, 7,000 plus years back, while Kulaśékara Alvar was born in the Masi month, which is somewhere between mid-February to mid-March, about 1,200 years ago instead of 7,000, but the same nakshatra, Punarvasu. Another aspect which makes Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl outstanding amongst the dozen Alvars is the fact that he is frequently and uniquely referred to as Kulaśékara Perumāl rather than as Kulaśékara Alvar, especially in God's own country, Kerala, his home state. Of course, there was no such thing as Kerala concept then, but the Chera dynasty, which covered the geographical region of what today is Kerala. The verses of this lullaby are addressed to our real selves, or Atma Rāmā. I talked about Adhyatma Ramayana in the context of Tyagaraja last week. Marubalka? Yes, recollect that. So the verses of this lullaby today, which VasanthiMā is going to sing, mannu-pugazh, are addressed to our real selves, not to some past 7,000 years back prince, though it can be to him as well. More importantly, more significantly, more deeply, more closely, it is to our own real selves as Atma Rāmā, multidimensionally expressing its enthralling infinite bliss in ultimate stillness, or Maha Samadhi. Because Rāmā means stillness, Rāmā means bliss, Rāmā means enthralling. So I'm combining it all by saying that this lullaby is addressed to not a person Rāmā, a historical figure alone, but to our real selves, or Atma Rāmā, multidimensionally expressing its enthralling infinite bliss in ultimate stillness, or Maha Samadhi, or Rāmā in its or his locally consecrated or Sthala-Pauranic personalized deity form as the chivalrous emperor of everythingness, referred to locally as Shauri Raja Perumāl, Shauri chivalrous, Raja emperor, Perumāl of everythingness. of the sacred and beloved city, or Tirukannapuram, sacred Kanna, beloved Puram city. Sacred and beloved city, or Tirukannapuram, one of the Divya Deshams in Tanjavur district, or Mavattam as they say in Tamil, in proximity to the sacred and renowned place known as Tirupugazh. You have heard VasanthiMā sing Tirupugazh, the holy praises of the Lord Muruga. Here, Tirupugazh is in the neighborhood of Tirukannapuram. Of course, Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl has sung at many different places, including Chidambaram. In fact, that was his final destination before he took Samadhi at Mannupugazh. But the last set of his decade, he had written 105 pasurams. The last 10 or 15 were written at Chidambaram, which houses both Nataraja and on the Adi Ananta Shesha, the Sri Ranganathar Pallikondan as well. In the same temple complex, unifying our everythingness and nothingness. So one of the Divya Deshams, Tirukannapuram, is the place where this particular lullaby song, Mannu-pugazh, was sung. Mannu-pugazh is as if honoring Kausalya, the mother. And the previous decade by the same Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl was on Krishna's mother Devaki, who was so sad that even after giving birth to the personalized form of everythingness, she could not rear it. She only was a biological mother. The one who actually brought him up was Yashoda, right? So, Tirupugazh is one of the neighbors of that Tirukannapuram. So is also the mystic serpent city of Nagapattinam. Yes, Tirukannapuram is also in the vicinity of the mystic serpent city of Nagapattinam. The thus consecrated chivalrous emperor of everythingness, or Shauriraja Perumāl, is befittingly endowed with the mudra or gesture of acceptance rather than the usual mudra of blessings that temple deities typically have. For who else is there to bless when I am already all inclusive? In such a state, I only receive everything and everyone as myself, ending up as a black hole of nothingness, once again demonstrating the oneness of Vishnu and Shiva, that which is not. In fact, Rāmā, the two-syllabled mind protective sound, Taraka mantra, Manatrayati iti mantra, Taraka mantra, mind protective sound. So it's a two-syllabled mind protective sound, Rāmā. You remember that Valmiki, as I mentioned in one of the previous videos, got his spiritual enlightenment, the ability to write the first poetry, which turned out to be 24,000 stanzas, by the way, of the entire humanity, all because of his chanting Mara, 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 Mara. The tree became everythingness, Rāmā. So this two-syllabled mind protective sound, Rāmā, in fact, conjoins Ra, which is extracted or rather abstracted from the 8-syllabled or Ashtakshari mantra, Aum, Na, Mo, Na, Ra, Ya, Na, Ya. Aum Namo Narayanaya. And Ma of the Rāmā, the second half, is extracted or rather abstracted from the 5-syllabled Panchakshari mantra Na, Ma, Shi, Va, Ya. Yes, Ma. Appreciating Rāmā, the pleasant embodiment of our physical, emotional, and intellectual stillness in deep sleep, VasanthiMā's lullaby, mannupugazh, kosalai is, as I mentioned earlier, an integral component of the divinely special relationship, Divya Prabandham, appearing as the 8th amongst the 10 perumāl, tirumozhi. See, I'm breaking Divya Prabandham as Divya Prabandham to emphasize on the divinely special relationship that it actually is. And now, as a part of that, is the perumāl tirumozhi written by kulaśékara Alvar, today's author, lyricist, composer. So here, his part of the 105 pasurams out of the 4,000 are called as perumāl tirumozhis. So the total number of perumāl tirumozhis are 10 decades, or 105 to be more precise, pasurams. So the 10 decades, we are looking at the 8th one. The 7th one was in praise of Devaki, the mother. 8th one, the praise of Kausalya, the mother, and singing a lullaby to her son instead. Effectively larger than life expressions of the overarching languages of divinity, Sanskrit and Tamil, in both of which our lullaby's author, Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl, excelled and contributed to the betterment, or rather continual spiritual evolution of humanity for all times to come since his own times, which is of course the 8th century and later early part of the 9th century. Check out the interesting compatibility of nomenclature, per poruttam as we say. Yes, according to 2 schools of Carnatic historians, VasanthiMā's upcoming lullaby today was set to tune very interestingly by brothers B.V. Raman and B.V. Lakshmanan, named after the ideal duo of brothers, of course, the bros Rāmā and Lakshmana of Ramayana fame. B.V. Raman and B.V. Lakshmanan are named after the heroes of the literal interpretation of our lullaby. And of course, Vishwamitra's suprabhātam. So on the one hand, that is there. But the other school of thought amongst the Carnatic historians says that no, it's not B.V. Raman and B.V. Lakshmanan, but Ambujam Vedantam, named as you see after the lotus-like Ambujam, culmination, Antam, of ultimate wisdom, Veda. Ambujam Vedantam is a lotus-like culmination of ultimate wisdom, as the more profound and actually useful takeaway from today's lullaby, on the other hand. Yes, B.V. Raman and B.V. Lakshmanan, as well as Ambujam Vedantam, are independently credited to have set to tune our lullaby in a garland of melodies. Yes, garland, mala or malika, as we say, and melodies, raga. So a garland of melodies is a rāgamālikā in which multiple ragas are involved, one after the other, for each stanza. Consisting of the ragas such as Durga, Saranga, and Lalita. Appropriately, the mothers, Durga and Lalita at our Anya Chakra. Who else can sing a better lullaby? And most aptly, signing off. That is the last stanza. Most aptly signing off, or rather I ought to say dozing off, with the raga Neelambari. Neelambari can be broken as Neela, Ambari. Neela, blue, Ambari, sky. A dark blue sky melody. Neelambari raga. Dark blue sky melody absorbing us in deep restfulness, which is what is the purpose of a lullaby anyway. Recognize that our face is the interface with the world. Yes, between I and the world is my face. So the face is the interface between me and the world. So is Rāma's. Metaphorically and etymologically, that is figuratively and literally, if you would like to use different words, the friend of the world that the great seer Maharishi, yes, Rishi means the one who sees, who perceives beyond what normal people can, and therefore the ultimate leader is the Rishi or the seer. So the friend of the world that the great seer Maharishi, that Sri Vishwamitra is, Vishwamitra, so friend of the world, yes, he perceives, yes, Maharishi Vishwamitra perceives with absolutely total involvement the handsome countenance of the latent potential of even a dozing Sri Rama. Ramachandra, shall I say, with his face reflecting like a full moon. Yes, this evening is a full moon evening. Started in the afternoon at about 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. in different parts of the world, and would continue till tomorrow afternoon. The full moon of the Magha Masa, which eventually leads to Chaturdashi being the Mahashivaratri. So a very special full moon. Don't miss it. It must be rising around this time. I'll go check it out immediately after this video recording. So Ramachandra, with his face reflecting like a full moon, the brilliance of the Atmic sun, is of course recognized by Vishwamitra, the friend of the world, even in a slumberous repose. Tired after walking through the forest to protect the yagas of the rishis, which were being destroyed by the Rakshasas, led by Tataka. And we will see Tataka's name appearing in this lullaby too. Instantaneously, Maharishi Sri Vishwamitra is struck by Mother Srimati Kausalya Mataji's unseen or adrishta. Yes, the word for luck in most Indian languages, and of course coming from the original Sanskrit, is adrishtam, or really adrishtam, that which is unseen. Nothing which happens in our lives is out of luck or misfortune, as people might have. It's all because of our karma. Some because of our known karmas, then we understand the cause and effect relationship, the law of causation. But the others are those karmas which we have forgotten, those unconscious actions, speeches, and thoughts that we have had in the past, in this life and in previous lives. So, Maharishi Sri Vishwamitra is struck by Mother Srimati Kausalya Mataji's unseen or adrishta karmic fruit in begetting such a son. There are beautiful songs about Krishna too, that the universal creator was born and taken care of in her own household as her own child. Same way here, Vishwamitra Maharishi is awestruck by Mother Kausalya's unseen karmic fruit in begetting a son like Rama. With this entanglement-free involvement an impeccable clarity of perception, characteristic of a truth seer, truth Brahma, Rishi, seer. Characteristic of a truth seer is that impeccable clarity of perception and entanglement-free involvement in whatever they do, whatever they speak, whatever they think. And therefore, because it's all conscious with full awareness, it never creates karmic reactions. It is transformed from a karma to a kriya and eventually to a leela or playfulness. Sri Vishwamitra addresses the handsome prince because of this very fact as Kausalya Supraja Rāmā. Kausalya Supraja is Rāmā. For once, the sleeping beauty, yes, what Vishwamitra was looking at is a sleeping beauty, and for once, the sleeping beauty isn't a Disney princess, but a Dasharathi prince, Dasharatha's son, the king's son, the prince. Not a Disney princess, but a Dasharathi prince is this sleeping beauty that Vishwamitra was singing about, and which Kulaśékara is singing about as well. And it isn't surprising at all that whether it is to lull our real selves to sleep, like Kulaśékara does, or to wake our real selves up, as Vishwamitra does, our motherliness, the fact that we are Thayumanavar, Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu, Matrurupena Samstita, Namastasyai, Namastasyai, Namastasyai Namo Namaha. It's our motherliness which ought to be invoked symbolically via Ma Kausalya, Mother Kausalya. We now have VasanthiMā devoting Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl's decade of 10 pasurams in an attempt to get our own tireless radiance to immaculate rest in Maha Samadhi. The truly elevated purpose of any meaningful lullaby is to get our own tireless radiance to immaculate rest in Maha Samadhi. Yes, that is the truly elevated purpose of any meaningful lullaby. There are dime a dozen lullabies around the world in many languages, but very few to beat Kulaśékara Alva's Mannu-pugazh, because it passes through this test in its attempt to get our own tireless radiance, or Rāmā, Atma Rāmā, to immaculate rest in Maha Samadhi. That stillness is also Rāmā. The truly elevated purpose of any meaningful lullaby is thus accomplished by Mannu-pugazh. I'd have normally said, the stage is all yours, VasanthiMā, but this time I ought to say, the cradle is all yours, VasanthiMā, befitting her lullaby. Please go ahead.
மன்னுப்புகழ் கோசலைத்தன் மணிவயிறு வாய்த்தவனே, மன்னுப்புகழ் கோசலைத்தன் மணிவயிறு வாய்த்தவனே, தென்னிலங்கை கோள்முடிகள் சிந்தி வைத்தான் செம்பொன் சே, மன்னுப்புகழ் கோசலைத்தன் மணிவயிறு வாய்த்தவனே, தென்னிலங்கை கோள்முடிகள் சிந்து வைத்தாய் செம்பொன் சே, கண்ணினமா ஏ கண்ணினமா மதில் புடை சூழ் கனபுரத்தின் கருமணியே என்னுடைய இன்னமுதே ராகவனே தாலேலோ என்னுடைய இன்னமுதே ராகவனே தாலேலோ தாலேலோ குங்குமல்லி கருங்குழலா கோசலை குலமதலா குங்குமல்லி கருங்குழலா கோசலை குலமதலால் தங்கு பெரும் புகழ் ஜனகன் திருமருகாதாசரதி குங்குமல்லி கருங்குழலா கோசலை குலமதலால் தங்கு பெரும் புகழ் ஜனகன் திருமருகாதாசரதி கங்கையிலும் தீர்த்தமலி கனபுரத்தின் கருமணியே கங்கையிலும் தீர்த்தமலி கனபுரத்தின் கருமணியே எங்கள் குல இன்னமுதே ராகவனே தாலேலோ கங்கையிலும் தீர்த்தமலி கனபுரத்தின் கருமணியே எங்கள் குல இன்னமுதே ராகவனே தாலேலோ ராகவனே தாலேலோ தாமரை மேல் அயலவனை படைத்தவனே தயரதன் தாமரை மேல் அயலவனை படைத்தவனே தயரதன் மாமதலால் மைத்திலிதன் மணவாளா வண்டினங்கள் தாமரை மேல் அயலவனை படைத்தவனே தயரதன் மாமதலால் மைத்திலிதன் மணவாளா வண்டினங்கள் காமரர்கள் இசை பாடும் காமரர்கள் இசை பாடும் கனபுரத்தின் கருமணியே காமரர்கள் இசை பாடும் கனபுரத்தின் கருமணியே ஏமருவும் சிலை வலவா ராகவனே தாலேலோ ஏமருவும் சிலை வலவா ராகவனே தாலேலோ ராகவனே தாலேலோ மலையதனால் அணை கட்டி மதிநிலங்கை அழித்தவனே மலையதனால் அணை கட்டி மதிநிலங்கை அழித்தவனே அலைக்கடலை கடைந்தமக்கு அமுதருளி செய்தவனே அலைக்கடலை கடைந்தமக்கு அமுதருளி செய்தவனே கலை வல்லவ தாம் வாழும் கலை வல்லவ தாம் வாழும் கனபுரத்தின் கருமணியே கலைவரவர் தாம் வாழோ கனபுரத்தின் கருமணியே ராமா கருமணியே சிலை வலவா சேவகனே ஸ்ரீராமா தாலேலோ சிலை வலவா சேவகனே ஸ்ரீராமா தாலேலோ ஸ்ரீராமா 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 தாலேலோ தேவரையும் அசுரரையும் திசைகளையும் படைத்தவனே தேவரையும் அசுரரையும் திசைகளையும் படைத்தவனே யாவரும் அடி வணங்க அரங்கனக துயின்றவனே தேவரையும் அசுரரையும் திசைகளையும் படைத்தவனே யாவரும் வந்தடி வணங்க அரங்கனக துயின்றவனே காவிரினல் நதி பாயோ காவிரினல் நதி பாயோ கனபுரத்தின் கருமணியே காவிரினல் நதி பாயோ கனபுரத்தின் கருமணியே ஏவரிவன் சிலை வலவா ராகவனே தாலேலோ ஏவரிவன் சிலை வலவா ராகவனே தாலேலோ ராகவனே தாலேலோ 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 ராமா தாலேலோ தாலேலோ தாலேலோ.
Oh my God, VasanthiMā, it's with great difficulty that I've remained awake. In fact, you saw me dozing off, didn't you, at the end, and burst into laughter. Well, it's with great difficulty that I've remained awake through your lullaby, anticipating this near certain possibility that you will enrapture us through your lullaby into dvaitic plurality of devotion or bhakti. I preempted you by presenting all my usual advaitic interpretations of the song even before your singing. Yes. So now I'll just reveal, reveling in the dvaitā that you've already got me into, I'll just reveal the literal English translations of the enrapturing Tamil hymns, remaining in the dimensionally unreduced plane of Dvaitic Bhakti. Yes, when you dimensionally reduce to a reliable, computationally efficient and accurate model, it is advaitā, the single dimensional string theory of life. But when you have not yet done that, you are in plurality, dvaitā. And I want to remain for the next few minutes after this lullaby in dvaitā, remaining in the dimensionally unreduced plane of Dvaitic Bhakti, for a change, of course, because most of the time I prefer to be in the Advaitic realm of jnana or wisdom. So here you go with a plain vanilla delivery today, folks. Sorry. Mannupugazh kosalai tan manivayir vaitavane. So I'll not recite the entire song after VasanthiMā sang it so beautifully in the rāgamālikā. I'll just give you the English translation in a bhakti form, in a dvaitic form for a change today, not the advaitic knowledge-based interpretation that I usually give. That's all done before VasanthiMā sang the song. You can rewind and take a look at that. So what does kulaśékara say in these 11 stanzas? 10 are the lullaby and 11 is the falashruti, or the ones which promise what a reader or a singer of this song, or even those of you who are hearing the meanings of this song, would benefit out of this. So kulaśékara says in the very first stanza, O Rāmā, the one who took birth as the darling son of eternally fortunate and famous Kausalya. Prior to the song, I told what fortune is, but adrishta, about karma and all those things. But here I'm not going to say all that. I want to remain in an acting mood of bhakti, of dvaitā. So I'll just say, just like kulaśékara, the one who took birth as the darling son of eternally fortunate and famous Kausalya, the one who shattered the heads of the strong king of Lanka in the south, the one who shows himself so gracefully in the Divya Desham of Tirukannapuram, surrounded by tall, beautiful and strong ramparts studded with gold, the apple of my eye, my sweetest nectar-like Lord, shrirambhajan, lullaby to you. This is called Pillai Tamil. The mother sings, and I am like Thai Manavar here, like a mother. The way I used to sing a lullaby to my daughter, Aigiri Nandini, Nandita Medini, Vishwa Vinodini, Nandanute, Girivara Vindhya Shirodi, Nivasini Vishnu Vilasini, Jishnunute, Bhagavati Heshiti Kanta, Kutumbini Bhuri Kutumbini Bhuri Krute, Jaya Jaya He Mahishasuramardini Ramyakapardini Shailasute. Rocking in my hands my little baby daughter, what she used to call as Daddy Lai. This is called Pillai Tamil. That is, of course, Adi Shankaracharya's Mahishasuramardini Stotram. And by the time I sang the first stanza, should be fast asleep in my arms. The mother sings lullaby to her infant in the cradle that you see right here. Talelo is the word used for lullaby, and the many different melodies in which VasanthiMā sang Talelo, Talelo. It really put me to sleep. O Rāmā, you're born to Kausalya to kill Ravana, the king of Lanka. You cut off his 10 heads and caused happiness to all the devas. O Lord, who was born from the pearl-like womb of the world-famous Kausalya, you felled the heads of the adharmic ruler of South Lanka and enhanced the happiness of its people. O my darling of the temple of Tirukannapuram, Shauriraja Perumāl, the temple which is surrounded by great huge walls. O my sweet nectar, O best of Raghu clan, please do sleep. O Rāmā, the one who created the entire universe through Chaturmukha Brahma, the four-faced creative principle, who in turn was created by you on your navel in the red lotus flower, Nabi Kamala, the one who bent the cord, not the umbilical cord, but the cord to aim the sharp arrow through the strong chest of the demoness Tataka. I mentioned Tataka earlier. Here she is in the song too. The blue-hued gemstone of Tirukannapuram, Divyadesham, where people throng to worship you, Rāmā, losing their hearts on their own accord to your beauty, even as Shauriraja Perumāl or Rāmā. The one who enslaves all those in the 8 directions, the Ashtadikpalakas. Sri Rāmā, lullaby to you. That was the first stanza. In the second stanza, Pundarika Malaradan Mel, Adan Mel, Puvani Ellam, Padaitavane, and so on. I will not again sing, especially after what VasanthiMā has done, the magic that she has created. I don't want to spoil that. But I'll still try to translate that into English for those of you, even Tamilians. Many of us don't understand the pure ancient Tamil of 1200 years back. So for all of you and for myself too, here's the English translation of the second stanza. You created Brahma first, and then he created the rest of the worlds as per your sankalpa. So it's continuing from what the first stanza left off with. You killed Demoness Tataka, who was a terror to all. You're so extremely handsome that whoever sees you loses his or her mind and senses. You are the Supreme Lord, making all those in the 8 directions, north, south, east, west, northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest, Indragni, Yama, Nirutti, Varuna, Vayu, Kubera, Ishanya are the Ashtadikpalakas of these 8 directions. And we say, you're so extremely handsome that whoever sees you loses his or her mind and senses, whichever one of those 8 directions they are from. So you are the Supreme Lord, making all those in the 8 directions to serve you in devotional service or bhakti. O Lord, who created all the worlds through Lord Brahma, you bent your bow, Sharanga as they call. Sharangapani we call Rāmā because he holds the bow Sharanga. So you bent your sharanga bow to cut the head of the very strong demoness Tataka. O my darling of the Tirukannapuram, who charmed the minds of whosoever saw you. O Lord, who ruled all the 8 directions. O best of Raghu clan, please do sleep. You'll see a lot of repetition of the same meanings. That's what a song is. The repetition is what makes the song more beautiful. The emphasis is created. And I want the translation to create that same magic also, especially for those of us who are unfortunate not to understand the original Tamil, in which the beauty is even more phenomenal. Going to the 3rd stanza of Kongumali, I will translate that to Rāmā, the savior of the kulam of Kausalya, or the clan of Kausalya, the most fragrant and dark-haired one. He himself is dark, and then his hair is even darker. The darling son-in-law, Dhamad, of the most virtuous Janaka Maharaja, Sita's dad, foster dad, of course. The one who resides in the Tirukannapuram Divyadesham, where most sacred waters or tirthams like Ganga are present. That is the legend of the Sthala Purana, that the holy waters even of Ganga are present in the sacred pond waters of the temple at Tirukannapuram of Shauri Raja Perumāl. My Kanmaniye means the apple of my eye, or rather the dark pupil of my eye. Rhymes, right? Apple of my eye and pupil of my eye. The sweet nectar of our clan or kulam, called Sri Vaishnava Kulam, the Universalists' clan. Once a clan is Universalist, it is the universal set. Who does it exclude? The null set. Nobody. Raghava, lullaby to you. So the sweet nectar of our clan, or the Vaishnava universal clan, means that the sweet nectar of the entire universe is everythingness, of course, right? Rama is an incarnation of Vishnu, our own everythingness. Sorry, I once in a while get back to my Advaitic interpretations, but no, I want to come back and stay on earth in the Dvaitic pluralistic plane of bhakti just for a few minutes to enjoy this lullaby that VasanthiMā has just sung. Raghava, lullaby to you, lullaby to you. Kannapurat Karumani, you are the pet son of Kausalya, the son-in-law of King Janaka, the son of Chakravarti Dasharatha. You reside in Tirukannapuram, where holier than Ganga water flows. You are like Tilaka of our race. Or rather, oh dear darling baby of Kausalya, who decorates her black hair with jasmine from Congo Nadu. Oh son of Dasharatha and the son-in-law of Janaka, who retained perennial fame, or rather eternal fame, I should say, not only throughout the year, but throughout eternity. Oh, my darling of the temple of Tirukannapuram, where water holier than Ganga flows. Oh, my sweet nectar of our clan. Oh, best of Raghu clan. Please do sleep. Raghuvamsha, we say. Raghu was one of the ancestors of Rama, great king himself. And Raghunandan or Raghuvamshi is also a reference to Rama or anybody in his lineage post Raghu. Then we move on to the next one, next stanza, which starts with Tamarai Mel Ayan. In that, Kulaśékara says, Rama, the one who created Chaturmukha Brahma in your lotus-like navel, the eldest son of King Dasharatha, the darling husband of Sita Pirati. Sita Pirati is a respectful way of referring to Mother Sita in Tamil. The Lord who shows himself in Tirukannapuram Divya Desham, where bees sing and hum melodious tunes. My Karumaniye, black pupil of my eye, the apple of my eye, the one who has the strong divine bow in his hand. Sharangapani is also called Kodanda Rāmā because Kodanda is also Sharanga, the same bow in his hand. Sri Raghava, the one who has the strong divine bow in his hand, lullaby to him or to you. You created Brahma in your Nabhi Kamala that shows your Paratva, supremacy. To be born as a son of ant-like Dasharatha, that shows your Saulabhya or accessibility. Yeah? You're supreme and yet accessible. That's the combination where you go beyond the opposites. You've conquered it all. That's the real emperor, not a Chakravarti on earth. You are consort of Pirati, Sita that is, and reside in Tirukannapuram. You are an expert archer and wield the Sharanga or Kodanda bow. O Lord Rāmā, who created Lord Brahma on a red lotus emanating from your navel. O great son of Lord Dasharatha, O consort of goddess Maithili, another name for Sita because she is from Mithila, the kingdom of King Janaka. O consort of goddess Maithili, O my darling of Tirukannapuram, over which, like a helicopter hovers, over which hover several singing bees. Is the dragonfly which is supposed to hover, right? Yeah, maybe that. O Lord, who holds a strong divine bow in your hands, O best of Raghu clan, please do sleep. The next stanza goes, Paralum Padar Selvam, and that I translate for you again and say, Rāmā, the one who gave away rulership of the entire vast Rajya or kingdom, empire, to the most virtuous one, Bharata, and then proceeded, of course, in his absentia, and later, of course, there was a transaction when Bharata came to the forest and without success tried to take back Rāmā. So we say, the one who gave away rulership of the entire vast empire to the most virtuous one, your brother Bharata, and then proceeded to unfathomably cruel forests with your younger brother Lakshmanan, the other younger brother, of course. One more being Shatrughna, who stayed with Bharata. The one who has strongest divine chest. So while I'm telling you all this, I'm just going into the Advaitic realm of what all these four brothers mean in myself. But no, I'm trying to pull myself back from the Advaitic state, back to the Dvaitic state of Bhakti to be with you all and enjoy this lullaby a little more with the literal translation rather than the Advaitic interpretation, which already I did prior to the song. So Kulaśékara continues in this stanza, the one who has strongest divine chest, that 56-inch ka chati, that houses the Veera Lakshmi, the bravery and prosperity of the nation. even in abandonment, in the forest too. The king of Tirukannapuram Divyadesham, my Rama, the one who has shining crown adorned with garland, lullaby to you, the king of Ayodhya, the inconquerable empire is Ayodhya, the fortress. The entire kingdom or empire is a fortress. The great wall of Ayodhya. The king of Ayodhya, Sri Rama, you gave Bharata everything, including the right to rule the vast kingdom which actually belonged to you. Then you went to a dreadful forest with Lakshmana. Ara anbu ilayavan Ilayavan, younger brother, Ode, along with, who had an everlasting love towards you. Yes, the love of Lakshmana to Rama is incomparable. Probably the one who comes close or even surpasses is Hanuman, maybe later on. Lakshmana accompanied you to the forest with a single point agenda, one point agenda, to serve you, his dear brother Rama. O Lord, you are the one who relinquished your rightful kingdom and the massive spread of its wealth instantaneously to Bharata upon the sanction of the promise to Kaikeyi by Dasharatha, Rama's father, and reach the deep forest along with your other younger brother Lakshmana with an unquenchable love for you, O Lord, who has a strong divine chest and who is the king of Tirukannapuram, O son of Dasharatha, with a long hair decorated by flowers, please do sleep. The next stanza, which starts with Sutramellampin, Kulaśékara says, Rama, with almost all the citizens of Ayodhya and their relatives following you, you went to the forest because they didn't want to leave you alone. They started following you, and you had to trick them with the help of Guru Guha to cross the river when they were all asleep overnight, right? So with almost all the citizens of Ayodhya and their relatives following you, you went to the forest. The one who is like the medicine to the ardent devotees of yours, the king of Ayodhya, the blue-hued gemstone of Tirukannapuram, Shauriraja Perumāl, the Divyadesham occupant, where the learned scholars live, Sri Ramapiran, the one who religiously followed the orders of your stepmother Kaikeyi, lullaby to you. At the behest of Kaikeyi, you, Sri Rama, went to the forest. Lakshmana and Sita accompanied you. Alvar, or rather Kulaśékara Perumāl says, Sutramellam, that's how this stanza starts, right? Sri Ramanuja was the Acharya, the great Acharya of viśiśtādvaitā school, the founder from Sri Perumbudur, Tamil Nadu. He was once asked about this Sutramellam by some of his disciples, Shishyas, and Ramanuja replied to them, Lakshmana said, Aham sarvam karishyami, I'll do everything to you, Rama. I mean, whatever is the duty of the different relations towards you, bandhus towards you, I alone will accomplish it all. And Kulaśékara Perumāl, the Alvar, who's singing this song also means the same. Atravarhal, Sharanagatas, in Dandakaranya, sannyasis and others displayed their bodily injuries to Rāmā. Those bodily injuries were caused by the torture of Rakshasas. So those Dandakaranya sannyasis and others requested him to eliminate those Rakshasas who are torturing them. Sri Rama promised to do so. Sita Pirati asked him, "Why should you kill Rakshasas who haven't harmed us in any way?" That's the compassion of the mother. That's why we need to develop our motherliness. She asks Rama, in fact, "Why should you kill Rakshasas who haven't harmed us in any way?" Being a tapasvi now, because remember they are in exile for 14 years, so she says, being a tapasvi now, should you still perform the action of a kshatriya? Then Rama replies to his beloved wife, Sita, his concerned wife. He tells her, she's concerned because he doesn't have an army. He's just there along with his brother Lakshmana. Sita herself was a great warrior, of course, but still, these are Rakshasas that they have to face. So Rama replies, "I've already given up Ayodhya. I can even give you up if necessary," which in fact he did in Uttara Ramayana. "I can exile Lakshmana too, but never can I renounce these jnanis." See, that's the importance which Rama gives to knowledge, to wisdom. Those who are following the jnana marga, who also eventually reach bhakti. And bhaktas, of course, eventually reach jnana. So Rama continues telling Sita, "Never can I renounce these jnanis and the promise that I have made to them, that I will save them from the Rakshasas by killing the Rakshasas. To protect the sannyasis of Dandakaranya is my dharma. O Lord," says the Alvar, kulaśékara perumāl, "O Lord, who reached deep in the forest, followed by all relatives. O Lord, who is the cure to the mind of sages and who is the King of Ayodhya. O darling of Tirukannapuram, which is occupied by learned people. O Sri Rama, you who followed the orders of your stepmother Kaikeyi, please do sleep." The next stanza starts with "Ālinalai Balakanai Andru Ulagam Undavane." So here I will not again attempt to sing the stanza, of course, I can't. I'll instead translate it for you into English as I've done the previous 6 stanzas. This is the 7th stanza out of the 11. Rama, the one who retained all worlds in your universal womb. The mother retains a baby, or at the most a few babies if it's a multiple birth in her womb. But here's Rama, who's referred to by the Alvar, Shri Kulaśékara Perumāl, as the one who retained all worlds in your universal womb. And this caused them to be protected, right? Because he had us all in his womb, we were all protected. And at the same time, the same Lord Rama reclined on a little banyan tree leaf during the dissolution period or pralaya. You thus encompass both the relativistic and quantum realms, leave alone the classical continuum mesoscale. The high-speed, large-length scales, by retaining all the worlds in your universal womb, and of course the quantum realms in the smallest length scales as well. Leave alone the classical continuum in between. The one who gave the kingdom to Sugrivan after killing Vali, my black pupil of my eye in Kannapuram Divyadesham, where the wind carries the pearls and precious stones from the ocean over to the land. The Lord of Tiruvali, Tirunagari, because it's associated with Vali, so it's called Tiruvali, Holy Vali, and Tirunagari, or the holy city. The King of Ayodhya, lullaby to you. Sri Rāmā, you swallowed all the worlds during Pralaya and lie down on a banyan leaf like a child. In fact, yes, one of these that I have, or probably I didn't bring that here. Okay, it's on top. It's a Tanjavur painting. So you lie down on a banyan leaf like a child. That is depicted in that Tanjavur painting I had. Should have had it for this video. Next time maybe. You killed Vali to deliver his kingdom to your friend Sugriva, rightfully, because Vali was unrighteous. O Lord, who as a young baby on a banyan tree leaf swallowed the earth, O Lord, who killed Vali and gave the kingdom to his younger brother, O darling of Tirukannapuram, where the wind brings precious gems from the ocean, O Lord of the city of waves, O Lord of Ayodhya, please do sleep. Malayadanal Anai is the next stanza, the 8th one, in which he talks about the controversial, what the Dravidian politicians built into a controversy, but which has been scientifically proven time and over again by multiple scientific studies. Says, Rāmā, you built the bridge, Rāma Setu, between India and Sri Lanka for the monkeys to cross over, the warriors to cross over to fight Ravana, the war, to recover Sita. So you built that bridge, Rāma, the one who built a bridge across the ocean using mountainous rocks and destroyed Lanka, the Lord who had churned the milky ocean and offered the sweetest nectar to the devas. My Karumaniye, the one who is in Tirukannapuram Divyadesham, wherein many well-learned scholars reside, the most valorous Lord, one who bent the divine strong bow, Sri Rāmā, lullaby to you. Who built a bridge across the sea to reach Lanka. You churned the milky ocean to get Amrita, the nectar of immortality, with your Sharanga bow or Kodanda bow, because of which you are called as Sharangapani or Kodandarama. You killed all the enemies by launching arrows from your quiver through the Sharanga or Kodanda. Sri Rāmā, who has performed all these astonishing feats, is lying in Tirukannapuram. O Lord, who built a dam using mountains and destroyed Lanka, protected by a wall, even more powerful than today's Great Wall of China. O Lord, who churned the ocean, Parkadal Kadiyardu, with waves and gave nectar of immortality to the devas. O my darling of Tirukannapuram, which is occupied by those who make arts grow. O great hero who bent the bow, O Rāmā, please do sleep. And in the next stanza, which starts with Thalai Avizhum Narungunji, the ninth stanza, the Alvar Sri Kulaśékara Perumāl goes, the king of the Chera dynasty says, the beloved darling child of Dasharatha Chakravarti, one who is with long, dark and fragrant hair, the Lord who destroyed Lanka with his divine bow, my black emerald-like Rāmā. Emerald is usually used with green, but he says, so dark is the emerald that it's black. My black emerald-like Rāmā, who is in Tirukannapuram Divya Desham, where most beautiful flowers bloom all around. One who deeply loves his darling brothers, Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrughna. Oh, Sri Rāmā, lullaby to you. Lullaby. You are the favorite son of Dasharatha. You destroyed Sri Lanka for your favorite Sita. You reside in your favorite city, Tirukannapuram. You gave kingdoms to your favorite bhaktas, like Sugriva and Vibhishana, after destroying their enemies, who are their own brothers. Yes, Sugriva's brother was Vali, and Vibhishana's brothers were Kumbhakarna and Ravana, all of who were killed by Rāmā. If he had wanted, he could have retained their kingdoms of Lanka and the monkey kingdom of Karnataka. But no, he handed them over rightfully to the next in command, their younger brothers. So Vibhishana got Sri Lanka after Ravana, and Sugriva got the monkey kingdom of Karnataka after Vali. O baby of the clan of Dasharatha, with a fragrant long hair, who by bending one bow, the Sharanga, the Kodanda, destroyed Lanka, surrounded by walls. Of course, nothing as fortified as Ayodhya. Ayodhya means that which cannot be conquered. Oh, my darling of Tirukannapuram, where very pretty flowers bloom. O Lord, who has great love towards your younger brothers. O baby of Raghu clan, please do sleep. In the 10th and final stanza before the Falashruti, Kulaśékara Alvar, or Perumāl rather, goes, Devarayum Ashurayum Tishailayum Padaitavane. Dishaigal means the directions. He not only created all Devas and Ashuras, that's our own Rajasic Gunas and Tamasic Gunas. Sorry, I should not get into the Advaitic interpretations that I usually do, because I want to pull myself back from my higher levels of transcendence back to the current state of dvaitā or bhakti to enjoy VasanthiMā's lullaby. So Sri Rāmā, the one who created all Devas, Ashuras, and even the directions and the keepers of those directions, Indragni, Yama, Nirutti, Varuna, Vayu, Kubera, and Ishanya. In the east, southeast, south, southwest, the west, the northwest, the north, and the northeast, respectively. The one who reclines, showing himself so gracefully at Srirangam as the Pallikondan Sri Ranganather, where everyone in the world can come and have darshan, enjoy and prostrate. He stoops down himself so easily. The black gemstone of Tirukannapuram Divyadesham, where the Kaveri flows, the amazing river of holistic health. It flows so gracefully from Karnataka through Tamil Nadu. The most valorous one who has strong bow along with the sharp arrows that is cruel to enemies. Sri Raghava, the descendant of the Raghu clan, Emperor Raghu, one of your ancestors. Lullaby to you. Lullaby. Bhagavan reveals his paratva or supremacy by the act of creation. He reveals his saulabhya or accessibility by Archavatara, as in Srirangam. Yavarum vandu adivananga. It's possible only in Srirangam, not even in the so-called Paramapada or Vaikunta. Who knows if it even exists? His bow Sharanga or Kodanda is the symbol of dharma or righteousness, meant to destroy adharma or unrighteousness. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharataha abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. This is the Avatara Rahasya. O Lord, who created the Devas, Asuras, and even the directions. O Lord, who sleeps in Srirangam, making all others come there and salute your feet, prostrate at them. O darling of Tirukannapuram, where the good river Kaveri flows. And with this, he has completed the beautiful lullaby. And then he says, what benefits you could get if you sing this lullaby. Or even those of you who can't sing like me, at least if you understand the meaning or try to understand, appreciate the meaning. So the 11th stanza about Kanninan Mamadil is about the Falashruti. So what does he say here? Kulaśékara Alvar, or rather Kulaśékara Perumāl, the one who ruled the kingdom, because he himself was a king. Remember the Chera king who gave up his kingdom to be in the service of the Lord, who renounced it all, who put his young son as the emperor and walked away to the temples of Srirangam, Tirupati, Chidambaram, and of course the Tirukannapuram that we are looking at here, and a few others as well. So Kulaśékara Alvar, the one who ruled the kingdom under the royal umbrella of the Chera dynasty, and the one who has a sharp spear to kill the enemies, sang these lullaby pasurams, the 10 stanzas or the decade. It's the 8th decade in Perumāl Tirumozhi. On his lord Sri Ramachandra Murthy, the darling son of Dasharatha, in the divine land of Tirukannapuram Divyadesham, surrounded by immortal and eternal tall and strong ramparts. The ramparts of the Red Fort were besieged recently, but not this one. Those who recite these 10 verses would be surely blessed to be ardent devotees who will enjoy the Lord in his entirety as the darling son of Dasharatha at Mathurantakam. These 10 Pashurams are in praise of the Bhagavan residing in Tirukannapuram. Those who read and meditate on the meaning will become bhaktas like Kausalya, Devaki, Bharata, and the Alvar himself, Kulaśékara. The king Kulaśékara with trident Trishul, who ruled his kingdom below one royal umbrella, has sung this garland in Tamil, though he was proficient in Sanskrit also, as a lullaby to put to sleep the Kakushta or Rāmā, who lives in Tirukannapuram, surrounded by walls, which consists of 10 verses and would surely bless all his devotees. Jai Shri Ram. Rāma Lakshmana Janaki Jai Bolo Hanuman Ki. Ayamatma Brahmana Kaya Mano Buddhi Jai Bolo Mahapran Ki. Shri Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Om. Shri Sham Jaya Jaya Sham Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jai Bolo Sita Ram Ki, Jai Bolo Radhe Shyam Ki. Jai Shri Ram. Bye folks.